Welcome back to another episode. Today we're actually going to be talking about one-handed swords and how to really run them really well. Now, if you watched the first episode about the clubs slash maces, D, who's a good friend of mine, was talking about how when you first start in the game, you should probably run sword. Well, for that part, he's right, but as you lean towards endgame, it gets a little harder because as you progress along the game, the sword's going to be needing a lot more support behind it because it doesn't deal as much damage as axes and spears. It doesn't have the range of bow. It doesn't have the hit rate as daggers. And it doesn't have a lot of buffs like clubs do. So during early stages of the game, uh, swords are perfectly fine. You don't have to really work with your stats to fit the sword's priorities as much. So you can probably run sword for the good first 3 to 4 floors. And then as you get closer to late game, so about level 70-ish, you're going to be needing a lot more support. So how to really run sword appropriately is you need to have some type of recovery. You need to have decent enough defense for you to last long enough, and decent enough attack for you to deal enough damage so that the boss doesn't overwhelm you. Since sword has been so hard to balance out, I've noticed some people they either go extremely heavy defense or extremely heavy attack with average HP. I, on the other hand, do not. I do heavy HP, slightly below average attack, and slightly below average defense. And I'll get into the reason why I do that later. But here are some early game skills that you can probably use really well for the first floor fours. The first skill. Now I'm only going through attacks, just to clarify. It's one of Leaf's skills. It's called Cross Arc. It's a base power of 426% damage. It's a 2-hit. It does single foe. And what's really great about it is that when an opponent has a debuff effect, like it has a lowered defense or a lowered attack, your damage increases by 25%. So that's extremely good. It's a nice 4-star skill, so it's fairly easy to get. And the only cost of it for stamina points, which is the purple bar right there, it's only 18. So it's fairly cheap to use. Another skill that you can easily get, which I think you can it's probably the most likely skill you're going to get first, is the Fire Slash Kideo skill. It only costs 10 SP points, and the reason why it's good, which is a 2-star skill, because it has that nice fire element to it. So if you look down to where my skills are, you see one that has just a slash symbol, and some others that have like slash water or slash holy. That's this extra element, so where if a monster is weak against that element, it can do that little bit extra damage. So that's why I like that skill. And the next early game skill, which is probably the best one, is the Cool Swordsman's Kideo. It costs only 16 stamina points to use. I still use it to this day. It's a motion range skill that hits all foes. And what's really great about it is that it buffs you with critical hit ratio by 16.5% for 20 seconds. So after using it, that's pretty much what it is. So after using it, all your other skills have a chance of critting a boss or any type of grunt in the game for 20 seconds. So that could be a really big game changer near the end of a fight. Now, when we head towards late game, like I said before, everything has to be really balanced out. I'm level 77. I have yet to really balance anything out. But when you really... Sorry. I meant to say something else, but that wasn't going to be right. When I said before, when people go extremely heavy attack or extremely heavy defense, When people go extremely heavy attack, they normally go about 20k HP, 1,400 attack, and about 1,100 defense. And the really big skill that you can have is a 5-star skill. It's called Aim High Yuki. What it does is it does 671% damage. It's a 10-hit combo to all foes, so it has the biggest hit combo in the game so far. And it has a bonus effect to where it damage increases 25% when foes' attack power is lower. So if you go on a lower floor and your level is higher than a monster's, your attack power is going to increase by 25% when you use this skill against them. So that makes it extremely easy to grind for XP, gold, and materials. Extremely easy. And when you go to grind bosses, early game bosses, to get materials for like those exclusive outfits and stuff, that can also be a big thing to use. Now, if you're going to go extremely heavy, of course you're going to have a shield. Actually, with any of the sword sets, you're going to have a shield. But for defense, you're going to have roughly about the same amount of HP, 20k. Defense is going to be about 1,500, and attack power is going to be about 1,000. And the best skill to have with it is called the Underworld Swordsman, which is this. It's called the Blue Rose Slash. It's a 3-hit all foe water skill. It has a bonus effect, which is damage based on defense for 20 seconds. So instead of your damage being determined of how strong your attack is, it's going to be determined how well your defense is for a whole 20 seconds. So that could be a huge, huge game changer. Now, earlier during the video, I talked about the swordsman's needing recovery. And the best skill for that is called the Underworld Knight Alice. It's a switch skill that does 641% damage. It's a holy slash skill. 2-hit combo for all foes. And it's about mid-range. Now what's great about it is when the switch is activated, it recovers 10% of your max HP. So for example, let's say your HP is about 20k. That means after you use this switch, you're recovering 2,000 of your HP. That's going to save you a lot of potions. It's probably going to save you a good bit of revival stones. And what's also great about it is that it has a bonus effect that it regularly increases the switch gauge. So after using the skill, your switch gauge is going to increase more than you using other skills. So that's pretty much the generic how to really run sword. I would definitely recommend using it as a beginner. But if you really want to continue being a swordsman, you gotta really focus on your stats a lot instead of, outfits, what skills you got, and you gotta focus on pretty much everything at once, and you gotta figure out what's more important, what equipment you got, what skills, or it's just so much at once. It's ridiculous. It's hard to word it out. But for the most part, riding sword can be easy. It has nice evasion sometimes, like with the 2-headed axe. You are slower. With the sword, you're not, so you can able to recover after using a skill and dodge easier. Other positives is that it has a lot of support with some of the skills. It's just which skill you get during certain times could be the turning point of you beating a boss and not. So when you're going to run a sword, you're really rolling the dice of how far you're going to get through the game at a certain rate. It's pretty much what it is. But if you don't like having a skill set that needs a lot of support and you just want something simple, to my knowledge, the simplest one would probably either be dagger or spear and bow. And if you all want to know which one of these would probably be, or if you all want to know how to run any of these skills, leave a comment down below and I'll make a video of it. That's pretty much how that works. And don't forget to subscribe and like down below. Thank you and see y'all later.